Why Africa Matters was the opening theme of a two-day conference held in Brussels this week on Africa. Portugal has made Africa one of its key priorities during its EU presidency, but it's not the only one. China is Africa's second biggest trading partner after the EU. It has also pledged €5 billion in credit over the next 2 years. Jinghua is director of China's Institute of International Relations, and João Gomes Cravinho is an expert on security and development in Portugal's foreign ministry. In this edition of Agora, they offer their views on why China will play an increasingly important role in shaping the continent's future.
I think that the revitalized interest by China in the African continent has been very helpful in focusing the minds of many Europeans on the importance of the African continent. Africa is a continent that is important to the world, it's important to Europe, and some Europeans, I think, have been helped by the Chinese interest in understanding this reality. So I think that what has happened over the past few years is that due to the increased presence of China, various Europeans who were somewhat, I would say, distracted in relation to Africa have been encouraged to look again.
First of all, I think we have to examine the general attitude European countries have towards Chinese involvement in Africa. Certainly, there is the impression that China is the newcomer in Africa's economic relations with the rest of the world. But this isn't entirely accurate. In fact, China has participated in reciprocal aid programs and cooperation with Africa for 50 years. What China is in the process of doing is the natural and logical development of existing relations, reciprocal aid, friendship and mutual confidence. I think as international understanding grows, Europe will gain a better concept of the positive benefits of the expansion of the Chinese presence in Africa.
Security and development go hand in hand. There is no part of the world in which it is possible to think about development if there is not a basic sense of security that is enjoyed by the citizens. I think that China can have a very positive role to play, both in terms of development and in terms of security. China and Europe do not always think in the same manner about the security challenges and about development challenges. That is natural. We don't pretend to believe that we have the monopoly of wisdom on either of those fronts. And we believe that Chinese presence in Africa can be very positive, both in terms of security and in terms of development. For this, we think it is very important also that there should be a European-Chinese dialogue on these matters of security and development in Africa.
China is not only contributing to social and economic development in Africa, but it's also helping African nations to develop better security. China already plays a broader peacekeeping role in several countries as part of the United Nations. As far as Darfur is concerned, it's important to acknowledge the progress made towards finding a solution to the problem. China, along with the EU and the Arab League, was in the forefront of efforts to persuade the Sudanese authorities to cooperate more with the international community. This is why, far from being criticized, China should be encouraged.
The question of the borders between politics and economics, global governance covers both, of course, is a difficult and delicate one. I believe that China has considerable interest in promoting good governance in places where it concedes important amount of credit. Otherwise, it is unlikely to recover the credit. We've had, over recent years, considerable debt reductions and cancellations due to bad credit accumulated in Africa over the years. And in Europe, there is a very clear-sighted view of the need not to provide further bad credit, further credit which is badly used and therefore not repayable.
It's early days yet in terms of Chinese investment in Africa. We are currently taking stock of the situation, and one of the conclusions drawn is that we must pay more attention to security for Chinese investors. With this in mind, we are planning to follow the European model and to benefit from their experience of investing in Africa. We are also looking to streamline working practices for Chinese companies operating in Africa in order to take the social consequences of our investments into consideration.
Europe has no magic wand to solve all of Africa's problems. China has an important role to play in many parts of the continent, so does the United States. And we are very happy if we can be partners to the United States, to China, partners in the interests of peace and stability in Africa. So sometimes there is an idea that Europe has within its power, if only it brings its resources together, the capacity to enact any change that it would like to on the African continent. That is not the case. There are many challenges that require a much wider collaboration, and Darfur is certainly one of them.
Darfur is one issue, but there are others. For example, the Olympic Games. There is no reason why the two should be lumped together. Next year's Olympic Games in China will be an opportunity for the whole world to learn more about the country. If you notice, the theme chosen by the Chinese people is One World, One Dream. This is very significant because it means that China and the Chinese people are in the process of forging their destiny with that of the international community in a closer and more genuine way. China must be allowed to grasp this opportunity so that it can dovetail with the global community. We must make the most of this opportunity that China has been given to organize the Olympic Games.
C'est l'occasion pour la Chine d'organiser les Jeux olympiques.